I and my sister Judy and my older sister, Sister Judy is 5 years younger than me, and Mimi, who's all of 12 years younger than me. All three of us speak Yiddish. All three of us went to a Yiddish school. It was the Shalom Aleichem Folks Institute, had night schools for children around the city. And so I went to Shul Fufsen. He even went to it. There was even a Jewish high school in Manhattan, also run by the Shalom Aleichem Folks Institute, and a summer camp called Boiberik, which also was run by them. And my father at one point was the president of this thing.
Das ist eine sehr gute jüdische Schule. 5 Tage a Woche, sehr ernst und sehr gute Sachjüdischkeit von jener Zeit bei uns.
He was a director of Shul 15, which was a Sholem Aleichem folk shul in Brooklyn. In the larger world of Yiddish education, he was the president of the Sholem Aleichem Folk Institute. He was editor of Kinderjournal for a brief period of time, long-standing contributor and long-standing assistant editor, but then he was chief editor for a period of time also. And that was really an important piece of the Jewish education. That was the sort of highlights for children, but that went along with the curriculum of and the pedagogical aims of that set of schools. He wrote a pamphlet called The Fate of Our Yiddishist Schools, and he describes the battle over how much religious content would be included in the Jewish schools. He was the champion of having first Chumash, Tanakh, so the 5 books of Moses, and then the prophets also, and the writings taught in school to the children, even though it was a secular school. And there were people who were very against this, who said, no, we are secular schools, we're not a religious school, we do Yiddish language and Yiddish literature, but not religion. And he said, how can you understand Yiddish language and Yiddish literature without our source texts? This is where our literature comes out of. This is what Jewish culture and Jewish history come out of. And you can't really understand our history, our culture, without understanding the Torah.
Und ist gewesen ein Pionier in einer weltlichen jüdischen Zwiebel. Stellt sich vor, das ist ein Lehrer, was gewesen weltliche Jiden. Weltlichkeit hat gemeint Sprache, Literatur, Geschichte, Musik. Das ist gewesen die Kultur von der Zeit. Und das hat gemeint, bei ihm, es ist gewesen eine Modernkeit. Gemacht eine assimilatorische. Und ist gekommen, hat gesagt, zurück zur Tradition. Das hat in ihm aufgeträuselt, sein innerliches Gefühl, was hat sich gebeten in der jiddisch-weltlichen Zwiebel. Hat in dieser Zeit, nach dem Hoben, hat gefordert von sich und von den Jiden, was gewesen Verwalters von den Schulen, hat gefordert etwas, was es ihm nicht gefällt. Nur hat sehr lieb gehabt, sich zu kriegen. Und an ihnen kriegen sich hat entwickelt ein Gedanke von Anti-Weltlichkeit.
I had what I always had considered a bat mitzvah, and he worked with me. So I'd gone to the Sholem Aleichem Volksschule, which was a non-traditional. Again, I didn't know at the time that that's not really a bat mitzvah, because I wrote a paper about the 10 Commandments, and then I did a reading from one of his books in Yiddish. Actually, in this room, we would sit together, and he would help me prepare. And again, that was very important to him. And that felt special, because as a girl, you didn't really do something like that. And then we had a big party. So I didn't read from the Torah or anything like that. So we'd go over the paper that I was working on, and we would discuss it. And then the reading that I was actually going to do so I could be fluent when I stood up there speaking in Yiddish, and again about the 10 Commandments. And I recall him saying to me, these 10 there are a lot of commandments, but these are the most important. And like, as long as you get these right, you don't have to like worry so much about everything else. Get these straight. So I was like, okay, I thought that was pretty cool. Like at 12 years old, that makes sense. That made sense to me. I sometimes would say you're lecturing too much. And then I think it was a little hurtful to him because there's always a lesson. He was like on a mission, I felt.
One of my big regrets is turning down my Zadie's offer to do a bar mitzvah. I might have even already been 13. I'm not sure. But it was probably within the last year of his life. I really had no idea what to do with this because the idea of praying was just so alien to me, and it was so alien to how I grew up and sort of my Jewish family life. You know, obviously in retrospect, it was a tremendously lost opportunity to connect with him in a way that would have really been memorable. And I think that the reason that he wanted to or offered to tutor me was because he realized how little we had gotten out of the Sholem Aleichem shuls and how much actual learning or how little actual learning we had accomplished there. And I think that he felt he could augment that in a way that would be genuine. It would be Jewish education without necessarily being God-related.